Good morning, guys. I want to talk a little bit about money today and how it connects to our minds. You see, I made a huge change in my mindset this year, and it has changed everything for me, and I think it will help you. I shifted from focusing on making money to focusing on producing infinite mind wealth. Every day, I ponder, I meditate on my mission statements. When I made that change just before 2018, it's changed everything for me. You see, we all want money. Money is important. It allows us to do great things. We've done some of the greatest things in history through it. But when we don't have it, people, unfortunately, our darker side will do whatever it takes to have it, even if it means illegal methods. And that's the part we can control, because really money is the physical manifestation of our thought energy. So the more we become positive in our mindset, we will have all the money we ever need. Have a great day, everybody.
So when we talk about reprogramming, I think the important thing to understand is 99.9% of what we think, what we feel, and what we do, although most people think I'm in control and I'm the one doing it, it's really non-conscious patterns that are repeating themselves over and over again. So let me explain. When you and I were born, the only neural networks that we had were for survival. Right? We didn't have any beliefs of are we good enough? Are we smart enough? Are we worthy? We didn't have any experiences to show us that that's a scary situation, that one's not. Snakes are safe, or snakes are dangerous, or spiders, or heights, or whatever the case is. So over the course of the first 7 to 10 years of our life, our brain's plasticity switch, our brain's switch that connects all of these neurons and creates the neural map in our brain is being created in the form of millions of connections per second. By the time we're 10 or 12 years old, that switch basically goes off, and now there's more selective creation of neural patterns based on what we like, what we dislike, what we experience, what our parents tell us, what our teachers tell us. Up until that time, we're just an empty, open nest where everything's being formulated. And so what happens is after 10, 12 years old, we're pretty much running on autopilot, and we become conditioned or trained to see the world a certain way, to feel certain things, to behave in certain ways. And so most of our life we're working on autopilot because the non-conscious processing parts of our brain is working at 400 billion bits of information per second and trillions of electrical and chemical reactions per second happening without our thinking about it. And so for adults, 25, 35, 45, 50, we have these patterns that we have to revamp, almost like a remodeling of our own brains. If you think about, when you're driving in a town that whether you're at home or in your city that and all of a sudden you see a detour. If you take a detour and then you start driving down that new detour for a day, 7 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, that detour becomes the new easy road to take, even though you're used to going a certain way. The brain works the exact same way. So if you've got these patterns that are easy for you, your brain wants to take those patterns that are easy for you. Easy thinking patterns, easy emotional patterns, easy behavioral patterns. Why? Number one, because it's less energy that the brain needs to use. So law of best use of energy in the brain is where it goes first. So the way you retrain your brain using, for example, the 4R process is you recognize my patterns of thought, my patterns of emotion, my patterns of behaviors. And you ask yourself, are these going to help me achieve the goal that I want to achieve? Whatever the goal is. It's just yes or no. If they are, great. If they're not, then what you want to be doing is saying, okay, how do I change that path? How do I change my thinking?
I think we play small by default. I think, man, we are capable of so many amazing things, and we're constantly living in fear and excuses and reasons why we can't do something, and we have it trained in us from a young age, our parents, our family, our friends, our teachers. Think about, who did you learn about life from? Probably people who didn't like their own life. Who did you learn about careers from? Probably people who did not have a great career, who barely are enjoying what they're doing in their work, and they're living in scarcity mindset of, this is all I can do. And that we've learned from. And guidance counselors at school, do they love what they're doing? I think this is a huge problem, and we're stuck living small and living scared and living, as a result, way below our potential of what we could do and who we could help. I think it's a big problem. I think lack of belief is the world's #1 problem. It's what I wake up every day trying to do, trying to help, trying to create. And so how do you get out of it? Well, I think the starting point is being around the people who are living and doing the things that you want to do. I think the way to 10x your results is not to 10x your effort. Sometimes it is, especially at the very beginning. Sometimes the answer is just do more work. But once you're at your max capacity, you get to a point where you can't actually 10x your work anymore. It's changing your mindset. It's getting new leverage. It's busting through limiting beliefs, because just working harder will not be the answer anymore, right? Is it working harder or working smarter? Well, it's both, right? You have to, working hard is your entry to the game. Nobody wins without working hard in anything. You have to work hard. But there's lots of people who work hard who never accomplish their goals, who don't end up succeeding or winning because they're not working smart. So it's always a mix of both. And so if you're not working hard, then you don't have a shot. But assuming you are working hard and you want to 10x again, then it's a shift in mindset and a shift in limiting beliefs. So how do you identify the limiting beliefs? How do you figure out where it's holding you back? How do you break through the paradigm and hit a new level? A lot of it is environmental. The current thinking that you have was environmental. It's your parents and your family and your guidance counselor and teachers and family, etc. That's environmental. You've adopted their beliefs, and unfortunately a lot of them are negative limiting beliefs. There's probably some that are very positive, but a lot of them you've adopted that actually don't serve you anymore for what you're capable of and where you want to go, especially what's possible now in today's environment. So the shift is in a new environment, to start to surround yourself with the people who are like the people who you want to be, who believe the thing that you want to believe, and whoever's more confident wins. And so if you're around people who are deeply confident that the thing that they're after is possible, or they've already gone and accomplished it, if they deeply believe it and you just kind of don't believe it, they'll pull you into the land of belief, because they are more confident in their belief than you are in the disbelief. And so it's finding the people who are living the life that you want, or at least aggressively chasing it down. They will motivate you, inspire you to want to go and live your life as well. So, how do we do that, right? It'd be great to be able to hang out with Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and all these people every day, but we can't. So how do you do it? Well, step one, I think, is just through content. It's why I make so many videos on all of my channels. It's why I've stayed consistent over a decade of making content. Why? Because I think when you're around the people, even just visually, even just through a computer screen or a cell phone, it starts to shift your beliefs and your mindset and what you can do. Even for me, I make these videos for myself so that I can be around John Assaraf and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey, etc., because they inspire me to want to be bigger. Looking at Elon Musk as an example, the news of the day right now as I'm recording this video is he's looking at buying Twitter. And when somebody asked me yesterday on Instagram, do I think Elon Musk will buy Twitter? I said, no, I don't think he'll buy Twitter, but it's probably not a good idea to underestimate Elon Musk. Just in general, right? Lots of people have underestimated him, and he's proven them wrong many times. And I just like the thinking. One of the things I love about Elon Musk is whenever I watch his stuff, it challenges me to think bigger. Why would Elon Musk, logically, if you're thinking through it, if you were running Tesla and SpaceX, would you have thought about buying Twitter? Would that enter the realm of possibility? This is the difference between small thinking and expansive thinking. Like in his world, it makes sense. and he wants to have a backup plan for the planet. Whenever I think I'm thinking big, Elon Musk is trying to have a backup plan for the entire planet. I realize I'm still thinking way too small. And the point of that is not to beat yourself down, like, oh, I'm not as big a thinker as Elon Musk, right? A lot of people say comparison is a thief of joy, and a lot of people will get off of social media because they're comparing themselves to others. I think comparison can be a fantastic tool. I think it can be amazing, because when you are running with people who only make you feel good about yourself but based off of their smaller accomplishments, then you stay stuck and you stay a big fish in a small pond. I think competition is amazing, but using it in a positive way, as opposed to looking at someone like Elon Musk and saying, oh, he's so much smarter than me, he thinks so much bigger than me, I suck, I'm never going to be able to do that. Look at it as a, hey, this is what's possible. There's not that big a gap between you and Elon Musk. It shows that it's possible, that you could do it too. If he can do it, then you can do it. He came from South Africa and immigrated to Canada, then immigrated to the United States. He had a father who he calls a monster, who beat him. He had his friends bully him and push him downstairs at school. Like he had all sorts of pain and trauma and struggles in his early life, and if he can overcome that to get to where he's at, I see it as so can you. And I see the comparison as a opportunity, that when you see somebody else do something, it makes you feel a lot more confident that you can do it too. And so just use it in a positive way instead of a negative way. So whenever I see someone like Elon Musk, it's a challenge to myself, and looking at him trying to buy Twitter, it's like, what should I be doing? You know, it's easy to get stuck in the same groove, but the groove can also be a rut, in that you're getting slow growth and improving where it could be a lot more expansive. You could be having exponential growth if you change your environment to be around the people who have expansive thinking, right? So step one is just through content, through aspirational mentors is what I call them. An Elon Musk, a John Assaraf, a Oprah Winfrey, people who you may never meet, but you can still learn a heck of a lot from. Step two is to then try to go to some events that change up your environment, right? If we're a product of our environment, then if you're always stuck in the same habit, the same house, the same routine, the same environment, then it's going to constrict the thinking. Have you ever noticed when you go on vacation, you come up with some great ideas? Why? Well, you've changed your environment. You've been influenced by new things, and it leads to more expansive thinking. So doesn't mean you have to go take a vacation to the beach or something this week, but what are some changes you can make to your environment? What are some conferences or events you can go to be around the people who think the way that you want to think, to inject some newness, some creativity, some ideas into you that will have you come back a stronger, bolder, more courageous person, because you've broken some of the chains of the rut that you were in. That things that used to make sense, like, yeah, that makes sense for me to keep doing. All of a sudden you go away to a vacation, an event, you come back, it's like, you ever gone away and come back and wanted to be a different person, wanted to be working on new projects, new goals, come up with new ideas? I get ideas all the time when I'm traveling. Just think about if you're just constantly stuck. It doesn't mean you have to go travel on vacation. It may mean you take up salsa dancing. It may mean you try a new hobby. Take that idea that you've got and just go to it. Look at any events that are happening in your city, meetup groups, conferences, clubs that you can join and be a part of to meet new people and take on a new interest. And I promise you, they may not all work out in terms of this is my next career move, but it leads somewhere. It's a part of who you are. You take the learnings and the lessons from that, and it'll make you a better person, a better entrepreneur, and you'll find a creative way to mix things together. I think of Steve Jobs, who started Apple, who dropped out of university because he wasn't enjoying the classes, and he dropped in on calligraphy classes, drawing like text and letters for fonts, which made no sense. Like, why are you dropping out of this really practical school and material to then sit in on calligraphy? When are you ever going to use calligraphy? It made no sense, but he was interested in it. And what ended up happening was when he started the Apple and he created the Macintosh, it had the most fonts. It wasn't just boring computer fonts. There were a bunch of different fonts that he could use that people could then use in their word processing, etc. And it was the most beautiful computer at the time with unique fonts. Why? Well, because he pulled from his experience in his calligraphy classes. And how he describes it is you can't connect the dots looking forwards, only backwards. He didn't know going to the calligraphy class that you know what, in 5 years, I'm going to start a company and I'm going to have beautiful fonts as a part of it. He was just interested in calligraphy. So he went to the class, not knowing how it ever working out, but trusting that the dots would at some point align in the future, right? So looking back, it makes sense. Oh, this and this and this all align to get me to where I'm at. But he wouldn't have known that unless he dropped out of school and dropped in on the calligraphy class. So it's changing the environment. It's being a part of new things. It's not just staying stuck in the same habits and same routines and same thing that you're doing constantly. And that will inject newness that will then allow you to be more creative and create amazing opportunities for your next goals. So step one is to be around aspirational mentors, to be around the people like an Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, etc., watching videos, content, interviews, podcasts, books that make you feel better, stronger, more courageous. Step two is to get out of your comfort zone and go to things, physical things, travel more, take on classes, say yes, go to conferences and events, just so that you expose yourself to new ideas and opportunities and come up with fresher ideas of what you could do with your life. And step three is to actually have humans in your life who you're around, who make you want to push and do more and be better. And this means, hey, if you're hanging out with Elon Musk, amazing, that's awesome. You're probably not doing that, but who can you hang out with who are on the similar path as you? And that's where I love groups like Movement Makers that I created for thought leaders. But it's not Movement Makers, something else, but being around other people who are doing the thing, who believe in the same thing. If you're trying to run more, join a running club. You're trying to work out more, join a gym. If you want to be a thought leader, join Movement Makers. If you're join a club or a group where you can feel like you're not doing this alone, where you can talk to people about the journey that you're going on. Will they understand you and not look at you like you're some kind of alien, like your family or friends might? Like, what are you talking about? What are you getting into, right? Join relevant Discord groups, be a part of a community, because it's probably the biggest mistake I made early on in my life. I was doing everything all by myself. I had business partners, I guess, but I felt isolated, I felt alone, I didn't have friends, had nobody to talk to, and I really, really, really struggled. So find other people who are on this journey that you can do it with, because when you feel like you're doing it with other people and you're not alone, you'll be a lot more productive, a lot more effective, and have a lot more fun as well. Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Morning, guys. In our top 10 rules for success journey today with Jack Ma, he shares rule number 8, which stands out for me, and that is customers are number 1. So when I think about this and the impact it's had in my life, it is so important for all of us to remember. Again, we want to shift away the focus from anything else other than helping people. So wherever you are, you don't have to have a company, whatever you're doing today. For myself, my job is teaching. My customers are students. And when I see them happy and they're motivated and they're learning, there is no greater value in the world. So I want you to think about the people you interact with today. Your job is to bring value to their life through control of your mind and being as positive as possible as you can be. So Jack Ma, he says customers always come first. That's why his company is so successful. Let's learn from this great thinker and let's add value to people's lives, because that's what matters most. Have a great day, everybody.
That conscious effort to change a behavior makes us uncomfortable. Even though it may be good for us,
Right.
it makes us uncomfortable for a day, 7 days, 20 days, 30 days. That period of time is what we call as the switch cost.
Okay.
And if people understand that you've got to do something for about 66 days, not
Yeah.
20 days, not 40, but the latest research says that to make the switch cost stick, commit to at least 66 days. And your brain will then take what you have to consciously think about, what you constantly have to put effort towards doing. It'll make it automatic so you don't have to think about it anymore.
I love that.
And so the first part is whatever goal you want to achieve, first ask yourself, am I prepared to pay the switch cost?
Yeah.
To be uncomfortable long enough to make my new thoughts, my new emotions, and my new behaviors the default, the new default.
Yes.
Because once it's
like the
new,
browser that's set on your computer. It's the automatic.
it's automatic.
Yes.
And if you think about our lives, most of what we do is automatic.
Yes.
We don't deviate very much from when we wake up, when we go to sleep,
Yeah.
what we watch, what we eat, where we exercise, who we hang out, what clothes do we wear.
Yeah.
We're pretty much creatures of habit.
Yes.
The key is most of the habits that people have, I'm referring to habits as emotions, thoughts, and behaviors,
Right.
are geared towards helping you achieve exactly what you are achieving right now. And for those of you that don't think that you are committed, you are to those results.
Yes.
To those of you who don't think you are disciplined, yes, you are to those thoughts and feelings and behaviors.
Right.
The key is to become committed, more committed to your new vision, whether it's your body, your relationship, your health, your business, and then pay the switch cost long enough to make that the new you.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, John Assaraf, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, master your mindset.
Until you learn how to master your mindset by recognizing what's holding you back, the real reasons that you're not taking the actions that you need to take, and learn how to reframe them in the right part of your brain so you can override the messaging signal from the amygdala, the fear center, and emotional center of the brain, to the part of the brain that's responsible for taking action, you're never going to achieve your goals. So whether you have doubts or fears or anxieties, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of losing your job, fear of losing your home, fear of losing your money, you have to understand that just like a car has a light that pops up on the dashboard when something's wrong in the engine, you have an emotion that is your signal to let you know whether you're feeling good or not, whether you're comfortable or not, whether you have certainty or not, whether you have confidence or not. And if you're lacking the confidence and the certainty, it's going to cause doubt. If you're going to have doubt, it may cause anxiety. And as soon as that sets into the brain in a nanosecond, your ability to take action is like having 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the brake. There's going to be a lot of movement going on in the tires, but you're really not going to get anywhere. So the first thing I want you to do is write down what's really holding you back. Why aren't you really, get clear, get deep, why aren't you really taking action towards any of your goals, health goals, financial goals, business goals, whatever goals you have? Write that down and ask yourself, is this real? Is this imagined? Is it a probability or is it a possibility? What you'll find, for the most part, is the negative consequence is a possibility. And as soon as you buy into that possibility, you're going to do everything possible to run away, to fight, freeze, or fight that feeling. But when you learn how to switch your brain from recognizing what's holding you back to reframing the possibility from the probability to just a normal possibility, you start to activate different parts of your brain that start showing you the solutions to how to overcome the fear, how to overcome the risk, how to overcome the possible negative consequence. And then what happens is the amygdala, the part of your brain that's responsible to protect you and to keep you safe, the firing threshold of that signal gets lowered. The message to the motor cortex doesn't get sent, so you start to take action. And third, what is happening is that your left prefrontal cortex, the CEO, the genius part of your brain, starts to think about ways that you can actually take action and do it faster and easier and better. It starts to change what you see. It starts to change your vibration. And now you start to have a lot more control over not just having goals and having strategies and plans, but getting yourself to take action.
Rule number 3, make a commitment.
If we said, in a year, we all want to jog a marathon together. And let's say you're in awful shape right now, but we started with, a 5-minute walk today. And then 5-minute walk tomorrow, 5-minute walk the next day, then maybe 10 minutes, then maybe 15, maybe a light jog 30 days from now. Is it possible that with the commitment that we're going to do a marathon in a year, and the beginning commitment to doing a little bit today and a little bit more each day, including getting massaged and eating well and resting and getting a right program for how much we should train, is it possible that almost every one of us a year from now could slowly jog a marathon? The answer is yes. That means that the issue is not that you can't run a marathon. That means that A, you haven't made a commitment to run a marathon, and then you haven't put together the process in order to do it safely and effectively, which means that I don't care what your current situation is right now, there is a way out. You have to start with your commitment and then get started.
Rule number 4, create a vision board.
Whenever I want to create anything, whether it's my physical body, a home, a car, a trip, there's a big part of our brain called the occipital lobe, back of our brain. Even when light comes in through our eyes, right, cells in the back of our brain activate and an image pops up in our brain. And that image that pops up into our brain is connected to the motivational center and the thinking center part of our brain. So if a negative image pops up, we reduce our motivation and we don't take action. And then we reinforce that pattern. But let's say I have an image of something that I really want, something that inspires me, that as soon as I pop up that image in my brain, I actually release dopamine, okay, the reward neurochemical in my brain that actually creates motivation, that's actually tied to what I call as the Einstein part of the brain that can actually help you figure out how to achieve that thing. And so I create images of what is it that I want to create for health, wealth, relationships, career, business, charity, fun, and experiences, so that I can activate the reward circuits in my brain, the motivational circuits in my brain, the thinking centers in my brain to help me figure out how to achieve it. But the other purpose of a vision board is to give your brain the instruction of, this is the stuff that's important to me that I want to create, do, be, have, or give.
Right.
So, we all have, 50,000 thoughts a day. We all have so much on the social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Clubhouse or whatever, all the different, stations and channels are, and the people that want to gather our attention. Well, why don't we become better at focusing our attention on what we want to trade our life for? Right? Because when somebody is pulling us to look at their stuff, like, we're part of their goals and dreams and their vision, versus me being focused on what is it that I want to trade my life for, and instructing my brain, help me find ways to trade my life for these things. And that's how to use your brain properly, versus your brain using you, because it may not have been conditioned properly with the right beliefs and focus and awareness and habits.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, be consistent.
One of the things that I really learned many years ago was something around habits. And the habit is more important than the intensity.
Yeah, the
The
consistency.
habit, if you can get into doing something productive, constructive every day, you will continue to do something pro your goals, pro your health, pro whatever it is every day. And some days, I have a trainer that comes to my home as well. And some days I'm exhausted. Just exhausted, but I still go through the motions even when I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Because the habit's more important to me than the intensity. So some days I feel like I don't want to work out.
Right.
I still do something. I don't care if I lay on the ground and my trainer moves my legs or my arms, I just move my neck left and right. I've still done something to create movement and to enforce or reinforce a positive habit that is part of the nucleus of success.
Rule number 6, recognize your emotions.
And there are 7 core emotions that people have, happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, shame, guilt. Those are just emotions. And it's either something that's happening on the inside that's causing that emotion, something that we associate with what we're doing, or something from the outside that's instigating that emotion. And so the first part of any change is to recognize the emotion that I'm feeling and not laying judgment on it, but accepting it as just energy in motion. It's either pleasant or unpleasant, something we want to move towards or move away from. So once we recognize it, the question then becomes, is it real? Is it true that I'm feeling this as a result of the meaning that I'm giving it? And in most cases, it's not true. It's something that we have become conditioned to believe is true because of the references or because of our own experiences that we have around that issue. And the way our brain works is anytime that we feel uncertain about something that may cause us harm or pain, a part of our brain called the reptilian brain actually activates in a billionth of a second a fear circuit which causes us to either flee, which means run away, freeze, which means we do nothing, or fight it, which means we're in most cases fighting air. And so if we can reframe something, the meaning of it long enough to let the emotion pass, that causes the third R to be activated, and that's the release of an unpleasant emotion.
Rule number 7, don't choose a life of regret.
When someone is really having a hard life, hard time, they're in the situation that they don't want to, I don't want to practice my inner side, I don't want to visualize. What suggestion you have for them, when they have the dark night of the soul?
Well, listen, if you don't feel like doing something once in a while, then you're human.
Sure.
But let me know if this resonates with you, and whoever's listening, let me know if it resonates with you. Do you agree with this statement? In life, you're going to either pay the price of discipline or you're going to pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. That's Jim Rohn, by the way. And so when you're sitting there and saying, I don't feel like it, my question for you is, what do you not feel like it more? Doing this little thing or living a life of regret?
Wow, that's huge.
Right? So let's create a juxtaposition against what I don't feel like doing, and let's use contrasting to say, are you okay with this being your character? Are you okay with this being your life forever? Are you okay with developing a lazy habit and lazy disciplines? Are you okay for the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40 years, having that as your modus operandi and your identity? If you're okay with that, great, don't feel like it, don't do it, but then don't complain and don't want any more. But if you're not okay with the short-term and long-term consequences of that decision, then here's what I want you to say. I know I don't feel like it, but I will do just a little bit.
Rule number 8, upgrade your software.
What if you said, okay, I want to make, let's just say $100,000 a year or $1 million. It doesn't make a difference. And I asked you, what do you need to believe about yourself to achieve it? So I need to believe I'm smart enough. Good. Write down, I am smart enough. What else do you need to believe? I need to believe that I am worthy. I need to believe that I deserve this. I need to believe that it's possible. I need to believe, you write down 5 or 6 or 7 beliefs that are just words on a sheet of paper. Now, let me stop for just a moment. I'm going to tell a story and come back to this. I want you to imagine that somebody tapped you on the shoulder sometime today and say, hey, I work with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks in Hollywood, and we have this new script, okay, that if you get really good at this script where you could read it in front of a camera without the script, we'll pay you $10 million. Now, I want you to imagine you've never seen the script, you don't know how to act, but they said to you, we're going to give you an acting coach. We're going to give you everything you need to memorize the script. We're going to give you everything you need to act it perfectly. What would you do to take that script that's on a piece of paper that you've never seen before? What would you do to take that script to make it yours, for you to own it? And the answer is you probably read it like what, once? Would you read it maybe 100 times, 200 times, 500 times? You think you might role play with somebody while you're holding the script in your hand? Do you think you might research the role? Do you think you might take a camera and practice it? And do you think that if you practice it 1 time, 50 times, 100 times, 500 times, you can finally put the script down and you can get in front of the camera and go, boom, here is the script? Do you think you could do that? Well, guess what? A script that's on a piece of paper that you don't believe, with practice, you start to believe. So what happens if you take a belief system and you start to imprint it into your subconscious mind, initially through conscious repetition. But there are ways to access the subconscious mind that we know today that are faster and easier than just doing it consciously. And so you take a vision of you achieving your goals and dreams. You take the beliefs you need. You learn how to manage your emotions a little bit better. And then you develop the habits, which again are nothing more than neural patterns in the brain that have been reinforced. And when you learn how to deactivate the destructive ones and activate constructive ones through spaced repetition and reinforcement, now you are resetting your default way of being. Oh. So a belief is nothing more than a reinforced pattern that if you learn how to deactivate it and create a new one, it's like a software upgrade for your brain.
Rule number 9, prime your brain daily.
One of the things that I would like everybody to consider is every day, okay, how can you direct your brain, okay, where you want the attention to go, right? So there's a saying in neuroscience that energy flows to where attention goes. Energy flows to where attention goes. So if you think of negative things and you predict that you're going to be embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, you're going to fail, then the energy and attention goes there, and your brain then predicts that that's going to be the reality. So we're predicting in advance what we think might happen. But by the same token, if you predict you're going to be successful, healthy, happy, financially secure, you're going to be enjoying life, then the energy goes there. So I do something every day called cognitive priming, or I prime my brain. And every day I take out my goals, my vision, my goals, my why, and what I want to achieve. And I have a discussion with my brain on being very, very clear on help me achieve these things. help these things become a reality. Show me the tools, the resources, the people that I need in order to make this my reality. So I'm putting my brain to work instead of allowing it to do what it naturally wants to do, which is repeat old patterns. So I am developing the new patterns like a software engineer, creates software. I'm just programming my own brain every day on what to focus on. Do that every day. Focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. Watch the magic start to happen.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is shield your beliefs.
When somebody is challenging your thoughts, somebody's challenging your identity, somebody's challenging your ideas, and you're allowing what they say to override what you know, in most cases, it's because you're lacking self-esteem yourself. You're lacking confidence with the product or the service or the idea. And so it really is never about what they're saying. It's about your interpretation and your automatic response to what they're saying. So the meaning that we give anything determines how we feel about it. So the question is, well, how do I change the meaning of what somebody says to me? How do I put a shield around myself when somebody says something negative to me so that it doesn't affect me? And one of the things, again, to do is instead of be in a state of reacting, be in a state of observation, be in a state of awareness of why is it when Joe or Mary or Harry or Sally said X, did I feel a certain way? And it's because of the meaning that we have given things in our own minds. And so the key is not to try and get people to say fewer of those things. The key is for us to be able to accept any kind of external stimuli and do with it what we choose. And is there a way that you can learn how to give anything that happens a positive meaning? That's number one. Number two, when most people have a negative comment, it's because of their experience, their story, their believability around that idea that is causing their reaction. So you can choose to accept it or you can choose to reject it. In either case, if you're the one making the choice, then you're never going to be a victim of somebody else's stimuli. And it reminds me of a wonderful little story about Buddha. He was walking into a village, and about an hour outside this village, this person came up to him and kept berating him, how silly he was, how stupid he was, how he wasn't there to serve people, he was there only for self-gain. And Buddha wasn't responding to this individual. He just kept sending him love and prayers and good wishes. And finally, just before they got into town, this guy said, well, I'm antagonizing you. I'm telling you all these negative things. How come you're not responding to me? And Buddha said something brilliant. He said, listen, if somebody offers you a gift and you choose not to accept the gift, to whom does the gift belong? And so obviously, if somebody's giving you feedback that isn't going to serve you, just don't accept the feedback. Just don't accept it as part of your truth or reality. Stay true to your own knowing. Stay true to your own confidence and certainty. And that way you'll be in control of your own destiny versus what people say or don't say.
Good morning, guys. I got to borrow from Les Brown again today. A funny moment in his speech video I was watching, and it is connected to money, and we're on this path to infinite mind wealth, which I believe will allow us to have something greater than any value of money can have. Well, we may be at a point right now where we don't have as much money as we'd like, or maybe we're broke. He laughs at the situation of his life, and this is a guy that went from nothing to extraordinary, from rags to riches. So he laughs now. He looks back on his life. He says there was a time when he would be so broke that when he went through alarms, he would trip the alarms. When I heard that, I thought, that is hilarious. So there was so much coins and change in his pocket that he would trip all the alarms, all the metal detectors. He's able to laugh at his growth for infinite mind wealth. So even if you're in a tough place right now, you're not going to be there if you continue to work on your mind wealth. Have a great day, everybody.
One of the biggest mistakes, I still hear it today from young people, oh, I don't have to worry because I'm still
young.
Yeah, and that is death to most people, because eventually you get old and then you're not young again. So it's a way of saying, when I talk about assets and liabilities, one of the most important things you have in your life is time. It's one of your greatest assets, or it's your liability. And being, I just turned 70, and I have friends who have nothing. I mean, they have zero. Now they've made a lot of money, but they have nothing here. They have nice houses, nice cars, 16 wives, 19 kids. I don't know what they have, but you know what I mean? And being young is great, except it can be a liability to you. Because when you're young, you're just having a lot of fun and life's exciting, you know, it's new. So, at the time, but the thing is, this is the lesson today, is so many people spend their time focusing here. They want to make a lot of money. And I can hear it in their words. They say, oh, I want a career. This is career. Okay, or I'm going to start my own business. And this is the chart here, which we've seen. This is the cash flow quadrant, book number 2. E is employee. S is small business, self-employed, or a specialist like a doctor, a lawyer, a web designer. B is big business, 500 employees or more. And I is professional investor. So when I was your age, I knew I wanted to get here. This takes time. This is the hardest, you know. This is where the big mega bucks are. And Kim and I are here. And the money is massive. But it takes time to get there. The big mistake I see young people make is they focus here. And the words are, I want to do what I love. That's the track. You see, in real life, sometimes you have to do what you hate. Like, people think I like to write books. I hate writing books. But it fills my purpose in life. It's not my passion, my purpose in life. Because my purpose was to get here. A lot of these guys get trapped here doing what they love. And as we've talked about on earlier episodes of this thing, these guys pay the highest taxes. 40% here, 60% in taxes here, 20% here, and then 0% here. So when I was before my 20s, I knew I wanted to go there, and it wasn't doing what I loved. I had to learn what I didn't want to learn. I had sometimes to do what I hated. I had to learn about taxes. I had to learn about debt. I had to take classes. I had to learn about insurance. So I was doing a lot of things I hated doing, so I could come over here. These guys never do this because they want that passion. I want my passion. The difference in passion is greedy. Purpose is for other people. So my purpose was to come over here so I could serve more people. Okay. So I have employees here and all this. I don't buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, because as a professional investor, I can create my own assets.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Robert Kiyosaki, and my take on his top 10 rules to success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, understand money.
3 kinds of money today that you guys got to be aware of. One is God's money, and God's money is gold and silver. So this is silver, and this is gold. The reason I brought it is most people don't know what it looks like. And then there's government money, which is fiat currency, which is the dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, the yuan. Fake. And everybody's working hard for it. It's like eating fake food or drinking fake water. That's why people are getting sick financially, because they're working for fake money. Okay. And then there's fake assets, which was another part of the fake millennial, the fake generation series. But the reason I brought this here is most people haven't seen it. This here is real silver, plata. Okay. That's what it looks like. And so in 1972, and this here is gold.
Yeah.
This is God's money. This is what God's money looks like.
Yeah.
The reason I call it God's money is you can't fake it. You know, you can fake it with a fake ETF, like a gold ETF or a silver, which I don't touch because it smells as bad as the guys that printed that crap. You know what I mean? Jesus. But this is real money. So you look at this here. When I first started buying that, that was $1.40.
Yeah.
Today, that's $16. Wow. And this here is oro, gold. And the reason we brought it in is most people haven't seen or touched. This is real. This is God's money.
Yeah.
Why did I say it's God's money? Because he was here when the earth was created.
Yeah.
And it'll be here when we're all dead and gone. When you're saving those fake dollars, this will still be here.
Yeah.
Or those fake ETFs or those fake stocks.
Rule number 3, educate yourself financially.
A lot of your generation are saying tax the rich. As they say, never happened, Joe. Because the tax laws need the rich to do what the government wants done. They're incentives. I provide housing, jobs, and food and energy. So that's what they should be teaching, but our schools will never teach that because they're fake teachers. Anything else? So that's kind of a review of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, I'm thank God you gave that. I mean, even when you were talking about jobs, it's like, well, yeah, none of us would be here if it wasn't for you creating this company.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of curious as to why the government wouldn't want us to be creating more houses, more companies. Why aren't they making us learn this in school?
Well, because it's fake education. It's fake teachers. It's been going on for hundreds of years. And like I said, when the rich took over, there was Rockefellers, Carnegie, Mellon, and they said, we don't need more entrepreneurs. We need more employees. So the purpose of American education is to create soldiers and employees, people who just do as they're told, but know nothing about money.
Rule number 4, take risks.
Millennials are the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings. You might make a mistake. You know, and that just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here. Because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
You know, so you may know the answer, but you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, then I went to flight school. I had such great teachers, you know. All of them could fly. You know, so my flight instructor could fly. What a novel idea. You know, a flight instructor can fly. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. They're all cowards, you know. Job security. Don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich.
Yeah.
And they teach that to your generation
Yeah.
today.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, don't work for money.
The irony is, when I left school in the 60s, there were plenty of jobs, but the world has changed, and our schools haven't. And so they're still making this innate promise of get a job. And I was very fortunate when I graduated in '69. We're the highest paid graduates in the world. My classmates were making about $120,000 to $150,000 a year. Wow. That's not much money today, but 1969, that was a lot of money. But naturally, as young guys do, we spent every penny of it.
Yeah.
So I had my rich dad's lesson, the rich don't work for money, in my head. I said, okay, I'm making all this money. I have a secure job, but what's beyond that? And that's where education comes in. So if I could explain this to you for the rest of the millennial lessons, it's really going to be on this theme here, because financial education is about not working for money. Like one of the first questions, when I finally realized what my rich dad was saying, I said, well, when do I never need a paycheck again? See, my goal wasn't, go to the moon or, cure cancer. My job was, when would I never need a paycheck again? Because as long as you need a paycheck, be it from an employer or like my poor dad, he was so afraid of losing his government pension.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Jesus, what a way to run your life. Your pension? So my old man kind of got fired. He lost his pension. It was the most frightening thing in the world to him. He had no pension. Then it was Social Security, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So that's why my goal when I was about your age, a little older, around 25, I said, my goal is to never need a paycheck again from anybody, even the government. I don't want any Medicare, Social Security, or whatever. When I was a military pilot, I said, oh, you got to get the military pilot pension. I said, you do, but I'm not going to. And just because of this here, that was the difference. Because I never wanted to work for money, to need a paycheck. So the next few lessons in Millennial Money, you'll find out what I do work for. Now, just let me go to the lesson here. So this comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and these are some of the distinctions. It was the advantage I had at age 9, because I knew what I wanted to work for. And this here, in simple terms, is called a financial statement. In school, they teach you to get a FICO score. FICO is BS. All that means, how good are you paying your bills? That's all FICO means, okay? Should be the FIDO score. Good dog. So this is what your banker wants to see. So when I was 9 years old, playing Monopoly with my rich dad, this is the lesson that's not included in Monopoly, but rich dad taught me. And fundamentally, the problem that most people make, they go to school to get a job, and they work here. So this is the poor, middle class, and these guys. And we're going to talk about later, your first line item expense is taxes. Just recently, President Trump said he had a tax cut. He didn't have a tax cut for these guys. As you know, the rules are always written for the rich, okay? I didn't make the rules. You can get angry at me, but these are the rules. The rich make the rules. The golden rule. He who has a gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
So the tax cut went to people here. That's where it goes to. You'll learn more about this later on. But this is what I work for. So what I work for, number one, is I'm an entrepreneur. I want businesses. I have multiple businesses. And I don't work in them, as you know, because you work here. You never see me, do you?
No.
Because I don't work for a paycheck.
Exactly.
Next is real estate. And real estate is good for many things which we'll go into, but number one is debt. I use a lot of debt to buy real estate, and I pay no taxes. That's the relationship there. The next is paper. And that's savings, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and that stuff. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't save money. I don't have any of that. But this is what most people have: go to school, get a job, get a 401k, and save money. Loser. Okay? I'm doing that just to upset you guys, because maybe you'll start to think. Because I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you these are the rules. These people pay the highest taxes. and they work the hardest. And the last are commodities, 4 different asset classes. So commodities are, number 1 is gold, silver, oil, land, water, food. So this is what I work for. When I left school, rather than working for a paycheck and working for money, my education had to go beyond getting a job, which I had a good job. But I now had to start, when I left school, about your age, the thing I focused on first actually was commodities. So back in 1972, I started buying gold. And it was illegal for Americans to own gold. Can you imagine that? Wow. Back in 72. Today you have Bitcoin. It's different, okay? Everything is changing so rapidly today. So I started with gold, but actually the next thing was actually oil, because I went to school to be a tanker officer driving ships for Standard Oil. So I understand oil. So my wife and I don't own Standard Oil or Chevron or Exxon. We own oil wells. Again, taxes. You get no tax breaks for owning paper oil, huge tax breaks for owning real oil. Yeah. And then I went into real estate. Why? Because I can use debt to buy real estate. And because I use debt, I pay no taxes. Mm-hmm. And then third, I started my business, my first real business. I had many businesses as a kid, but my first real business was a nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business. And I went worldwide right away. The trouble is I was an idiot, and the business went up, and the business came down. What kept me alive was this and this. Okay. So you may say, well, aren't you working for money? But we'll go into that next. I don't want what's called a paycheck. Mm-hmm. I want cash flow. From here. So that's what I mean by the rich don't work for money. You want cash flow that pays very little taxes, and I can use lots of debt over here. The average person who went to school, their biggest liability they have is student loans, of course.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I mean, it's horrible what they do to you guys today. You have student loan, which is the worst type of debt of all because you cannot declare bankruptcy on it. No. And then you get out and you try and buy a house, you call it an asset when it's really a liability. Why? Because the cash is flowing that way. Your house costs you money. You rent a house, still costs you money. Okay? Then you have to have a nice car. I had one of those. This. So the problem with most young people is they go to school to get that job, then a lot of them have student loan debt, then they try and get married and buy a house, have a car, and then they have credit card debt, but they never have the chance to come over here. If they do any investing in America, it's a 401k, which I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Now, you should, but I don't, because I don't have to. Because I went to school for here, and people who don't go to school should be here. This is a 401k, IRA, ETFs, and that stuff, paper, savings. I don't touch that stuff, and we'll go into that later on, okay? So when I say rich don't work for money, I never want to be dependent on a paycheck, either from an employer or the government. I want to be a free human being.
Rule number 6, get tax-free income.
Did you ever wonder how the rich don't pay taxes?
Of course. I mean, it went viral when Trump said he's paid 0 in taxes. And so it got me wondering too. It's like, well, one, how can I do that? Right. Because I need that. I mean, it would be great if I could pay 0 in taxes. And two, how exactly can they structure it to get 0 in taxes?
It goes over here to fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. It's all the same. And all of these guys who are screaming for the rich not to pay taxes, I cover it in fake. I actually have an article from the New York Times where they interviewed Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law, you know, was Ivanka's husband. Yeah. They're richer than the Trumps. Jared Kushner's family is richer than the Trumps. But the reason Jared explains it, why these guys pay no tax, is because they're in real estate. Mm-hmm. They're not in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. And so he explains it. So the reason the rich don't pay taxes is because there's 3 types of income. They'll never teach you this in school. The fake teachers will never. There's 3 types of income. Okay, number 1 type of income is earned income. That's earned income. It's when you work for money. It's earned. So that earned income shows up here. So these are the guys that pay tax. So when all the guys are screaming tax the rich, well, you can't tax them because they don't have jobs.
That's absolutely
It's kind of
right.
funny, isn't it? We're going to tax the rich. Oh, yeah. Good luck, you know. And then the second type of income is portfolio income. And portfolio income is from flipping houses, or you buy a stock for like $10, you sell it for $20. That's portfolio income. Okay? I don't do that. Trump doesn't do that. So most guys who are flipping houses and all that, buying stocks and flipping to you're getting this type of income. So this income is about 20% today. Some of that here. But the income that the rich work for is called passive income. Passive income is also known as cash flow. That's the name of our game, cash flow. And that income is income that's flowing from here to here. It bypasses taxes. So I know it doesn't sound fair, and it isn't fair. I don't disagree with you. But what's not fair is our schools, which are part of the problem, will never explain that.
And so because it's passive income, is it not taxed because I guess you guys are creating jobs and owning and providing houses?
You're getting smarter there. It's not illegal because the tax laws are incentives to do what the government wants done. So the reason the Trumps, Kiyosaki's, and Kushners pay no taxes is we provide housing. Number 2, in the B column, we provide jobs, so we pay no taxes. And 3, it's a bad word, it's oil. When you drill for oil, you pay no taxes. But if you buy Chevron, you pay taxes, stocks. If you provide food, you pay no taxes. So if real financial education, which will never be taught in school because they're fake teachers.
Rule number 7, play games.
When I was 9 years old, my rich dad taught me how to become rich by playing the game of Monopoly. And I didn't understand why I was playing this game of Monopoly. And one day, Rich Dad said to me, he says, there's many ways you can become rich. One of the best ones are found in this game, Monopoly, because games are some of the best teachers in the world, because all games engage 4 intelligences. Number 1 is your mind. Number 2 are your emotions, fear and anger and sadness. Number 3 is physical. I mean, how can you learn to walk if you don't fall down? And number 4 is spiritual intelligence. As Maria Montessori said, what the hand does, the mind remembers.
Rule number 8, have a spiritual why.
My teacher was Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. And he says, I don't work for me, I work for everyone. And that was one of the biggest lessons I got from the military. From the military was very high spiritual intelligence. That's why your dad and I get along so well. Because when we went into combat, which is a horrible experience of good and bad people, enemy and friends, but when we climbed into our aircraft, there was a crew of 5. We became one. It is the best feeling, as horrible as it is, flying into combat, because we might not come back. But it was the highest feeling of all. It was spiritual. And I'm afraid it's not just millennials, it's human beings, Well, is this good? Is this bad? Is this the best Vuitton shirt? Can I get it at a better price? Or he's cute or she's cute, but is there somebody better, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
So you guys are stuck in your head, and I think you should get more into your spirit, saying, what can I do for my fellow human being?
Yeah.
What can I do for the environment? And I think the biggest secret of my success is I have all, we all have these. We all have some degree of physical things we do. Yeah. Emotionally, I'm a basket case a lot of the time, I get upset, I get angry, I get sad, I get my feelings hurt. And I'm always, this is good, this is bad, this is, you watch politics, it's all good and bad, it's a bunch of BS. But what keeps me going is this, and it's spiritual.
Yeah.
Is how can I serve others? How can I serve the planet?
Rule number 9, always be a student.
In my world, because I see people, they chase shiny objects. And what a shiny object means is, when you're fishing, you throw a lure out, and this little shiny object goes, and the fish comes and they jump in. That's what most people do. Bitcoin today is a shiny object. I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money in it, but most people are chasing shiny objects. They want to make money. They're not building an asset here. The reason they don't do it here, this is the highest risk. Now, this is what I know. The higher the risk, the more education it takes. For example, if I wanted to learn, and I flew, if I wanted to just fly my little Cessna 172 around the place, not much risk in that. But when I had to go to Vietnam to fly, the risk went up. I had to study harder, become better, work harder at it. The reason most people stay in paper, 401ks, IRAs, and chasing shiny objects like Bitcoin is because they don't want to take the risk here. They're huge. You've got to study. That's why we have Rich Dad's Education, Rich Dad's Coaching. All of you guys are allowed to take courses and all this. If you come here, it takes no intelligence to be here. It takes no intelligence to buy Bitcoin. I mean, I have 5 Bitcoin. It didn't take, I don't have to do anything. Over here, I have to know a lot. Over here, I have to know a lot. I have to study. So if you want to chase shiny objects like the stock market and all that, you can get rich there. It's really easy to get in here. It's really hard here. Any comments, any questions? Does it make sense? They're chasing shiny objects.
So I do agree with you when you talk about Bitcoin being a shiny object that everybody's chasing, right? And one of my favorite stories that you've told is about your mentor, Frank, when he sent you to Peru so you could learn a valuable lesson about maybe something that wasn't such a shiny object and turned into be, because shiny objects change every day.
So I wanted to learn about, they have ICOs, initial coin offerings. I wanted to learn about IPOs, initial public offering. And it's how you take a business and turn it into paper. You turn it into stock. So I went to see my friend Frank, who was hardcore here. I don't know how many companies he started and taken public. And I said, Frank, and he didn't know me from Adam. I said, I want to learn to do an IPO. And he goes, yeah, you and everybody else. He says, most guys don't have it. They don't have the guts. They don't have the determination. And they're wimps. I said, I want to learn. He says, how bad? This is up here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I said, badly. He says, okay, this is Wednesday. Be in Lima, Peru on Saturday. I went, on Saturday? And we were shooting our video for the cash flow game, He says, how bad do you want it? I said, badly. He says, you meet my president in Lima. Frank never traveled. You meet my president in Lima, and I'll find out how bad you want it. So that was Wednesday. Wednesday night, I was on a plane to Lima, Peru. I had to pay full boat. I paid my own way. Most employees can't stand that because they don't have any money. I flew into Lima, Peru. I went to look at 3 gold mines, and with Frank's president. It was an experience and an education I would never have if I didn't show up. It cost me probably $15,000 to $20,000 just for airfare on that thing. I get back on Tuesday to talk to Frank, and I said, Frank, there's nothing there. He says, I could have told you that. So why'd you send me? I want to find how badly you want to learn. Just most people don't have it. They want a job, they want job security, they want a paycheck, they want a 401k. And that's why they don't get to come here. That's why they don't get to come over here. Nothing right or wrong, I don't ever want to be here. I knew when I was your age I wanted to come here, but the higher the risk, the higher the returns, but also the higher dedication, education, and study you have to go through. So today, And I'm making millions and millions. I make more in a day than many people make in a lifetime. But it was worth it. Did I lose? Sometimes, yes, but it was worth it. You go to school here, you take no risk. That's why my poor dad was poor. He didn't like to make mistakes.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is learn beyond the classroom.
The differences between what they're teaching in school and what we at Rich Dad teach. So this is the very big difference. Like I said, most school teachers are like my poor dad. And this was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What you're seeing here is a financial statement. Mm-hmm. You know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book on accounting, the most boring subject on planet Earth. But book number 2 of Rich Dad was this one here. And this was called the cash flow quadrant, right? You have E, S, B, and I. So, test for you. What does E stand for?
Employee.
Good. And what do employees always say?
That they work for money.
But they want job security,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Paycheck, and pension.
Yes.
Okay. What does S stand for?
Self-employed.
They're small business owners.
Yes.
Doctors, lawyers.
They work for tips.
They work for tips now. So they're self-employed. Mm-hmm. And B stands for what?
Big business owners.
So 500 employees or more.
Yeah.
And I stands for what?
The investor.
Investor. It's more than just investor, it's insider. You see, this is like Shark Tank on the TV shows. These guys here have done this and they've done this. So this was my poor dad, this side. This was Rich Dad here. So the difference, that's what schools are not teaching you, is what's the difference between these people and these people. That's the big difference. And that shows up, so when I was about your age, I had to make a decision. I was a pilot. You know, most of my friends went to fly for the airlines, but I'd be here. Or I could be, I could be in Alaska flying fishermen around the place, a pilot with a small plane and, flying around the place. Or I could own an airlines, or I could invest in airlines. And that's the difference in the mindsets and skill sets. You don't just make crossings. The education is extremely different on this side than on this side here.